Welcome to Unplugged Podcast, where Jesus is at the center of every conversation. Join us as we explore the teachings of Christ and the impact on mental health, spirituality, and everyday life. Discover how faith in Jesus can help provide hope, healing, and purpose in a world full of challenges. Subscribe now on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms to stay connected to the Unplugged community. Unplug from the world and plug into Jesus.
Well.
Hi, mental health warriors.
Hello.
Welcome to Unplugged Podcast, where we critically discuss the intersectionality between mental health, Christianity, and politics. I'm Jasmine Garrett, mental health enthusiast.
And I'm Dr. Kelly.
And thank you in advance for your time.
Absolutely.
So today, we are continuing our prior conversation that we had on this platform in regard to reparations. Which is, by nature, unfortunately controversial.
It is.
And I hate that.
It is.
Because why?
Because you're the one that wants the reparations?
No, but reparations is so common.
Is it?
It is. You know everybody got reparations? Everybody got Jewish people got reparations.
You're talking about in the United
Hawaiian
States?
people got, yes. Well, no the Jewish people got reparations from the country that
did
facilitated the atrocities toward them.
Okay.
But I mean, if you want to talk about the U.S., we paid reparations to the Hawaiians. We paid reparations to the Japanese. We even paid reparations to the white slave owners that gave us up.
Man.
So for
I didn't know that.
Yes, there were reparations paid because of slavery, but it was to our slave owners for giving us up.
Now, I do know that, I don't know if it was the Japanese or the Chinese, it was somebody when they was dealing with the railroads, they put them in internment camps. They put them in camps.
Yeah, it was the Japanese. It was after Pearl Harbor.
They got some.
They got reparations. Absolutely, their lives were destroyed. We put them in camps. It's crazy.
Wow,
it was insane. And then, of course, we paid reparations to the Native Americans.
Yep.
To this day, they're still benefiting from their reparations packages.
Yep.
They go to college for free.
Yep.
They have their own autonomy for law on their casinos, but no, more so their autonomy for law on their land.
Right.
They don't answer to any other government. They make their own government.
Right. They're sovereign. Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing to have the acknowledgement from the institutions that harmed you or your ancestors to say, hey, we were wrong. Let's do what we can to fix it. And I don't know why there's such exclusion for our people. So if reparations was cool for everybody else, what is it about our people where it's like, oh, no, we can't do it for you guys?
You know what? I've come to the conclusion where I don't think it's an aversion to give it to us. I think it's an inability to retrieve them. I think all of those people that you mentioned, they harness the power of their dollar, of their vote, and whatever else they harness in order to get what they sought. Matter of fact, Lyndon, I think it was Lyndon Johnson. He said to Lyndon B. Johnson, he said to Martin Luther King, and he was a known racist, but he signed the civil rights law.
Sure did.
He was a known racist. He said it was either him or Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I have to look and see, but he says, I know you guys want this. I know you guys need this, but it's up to y'all to make me do it. Just because I know you want it and I know you need it don't mean I got to give it to you. Make me do it.
Jesus.
In other words, put enough heat and fire up under me to where I have to do something.
Goodness, it was Lyndon B. Johnson.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I understand that there is a human tendency, and that human tendency, by the way, is called pride. We can put a name on it. It's a sin.
I ain't too proud to beg, not for no reparation.
Well, no, it's pride that gets in the way of just acknowledgement of something that was done that was wrong, right? So, and it's to the point where you have to be. There's this social contract where you have to shame into doing what's right, and I don't know if I agree with that as a tactic. I think if you're attempting to walk uprightly before the Lord, it has to come with humbleness.
I agree.
I've made many mistakes in my life, many, many, many. And I've made mistakes on this podcast. We've had moments where I had to do smiles and corrections, where I was unaware of information in regard to a specific topic, and I had to come to you guys and say, hey, guys, I was wrong. It's not the first time I'm going to be wrong on this platform.
Well, if you have that,
It's the last time I'm going to be wrong on this platform.
If you have that Democratic brain worm, it's going to happen.
Not the Democratic brain worm. But no, like the walk that you're making in your life, it's not absent of ignorance, and it's not absent of sin. And for any person to look you in the face and pretend as if they're just excluded from that, they're being dishonest.
That's a fact.
That's just that. And if we could all get to that place where it's like, okay, we can look at each other and do so with compassion, as long as there is acknowledgement and there is progression forward.
I agree.
If you're looking at someone and they're refusing to acknowledge their faults, they're refusing to acknowledge the sin in their life, you are not going to get anywhere with this person.
That's right.
This person is committed to an image that is not of Christ.
Right.
We're image bearers of God.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're committed to the image that is not of Christ, that is buried in their sin, to the point where they can't even acknowledge it, we have a problem, right? We're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and trust me when I said you don't know pain until you've said something uneducated on camera, and then watch yourself do it, right? You have to have the humbleness to be able to move forward, to acknowledge where you're wrong, do better, and correct it, right? So hopefully we are living examples of that. And not only that, when we commit to doing better, it should be a progression where it happens less and less. But not only that, how you handle it in that moment is character. That is character, right? So if we want to do better, we have to put in the efforts for that.
I agree.
Right? So if you and I can have our moments where we can admit when we're wrong, and we can handle it with grace, and we can handle it with honesty, and we can handle it with integrity, we should have the same expectations for institutions.
Well, let me just say this, because what is America's excuse? Because they've acknowledged the atrocities of slavery. They've made formal declarations apologizing on the Senate floor or the House floor, saying that slavery was wrong and it was bad. They've publicly acknowledged that on a federal level.
Well, no. Well, okay.
Not as far as like giving us reparations, but saying,
No, I wish that was the sentiment. My problem is you can't acknowledge that you're wrong and then shame people when they bring it up because you didn't fix it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a problem, right?
Right.
If someone comes to me and says, Jasmine, you said this was inaccurate and you did it on your podcast, it's not enough that I say, oh, you know what, you're right. No, I have to fix that.
Right.
This is now something that needs to be addressed, right? Which we had a whole episode, right? So you don't just take it and leave it and move on. You address it.
I agree.
My problem is when we talk about atrocities for other groups, when we talk about what happened with Pearl Harbor and what happened with our Japanese demographic, never again. When we talk about Holocaust, never forget. When we talk about 9/11, never forget. When we talk about slavery, you guys got to move on. You guys got to move on. You got to let it go.
Right.
You're holding on to the past.
Right.
What?
That was before our time.
No, it's not.
Well,
it's
that's
still,
what they're saying,
Right. But and okay. So one of the things that I learned, because I was curious to know what was the opposite side. And this is me speaking to all of my mental health warriors out there. You're going to have conversations with other people where you have different perspectives. And if your intention and communication with them is only to communicate your perspective and not hear that, you don't have a good faith conversation happening, right? Your intentions are already wrong. So I seek to understand the other side. And one of the things that I learned, and this was just me asking ChatGPT, like, what are the arguments against reparation, right? What is the problem? And one of the number one reasons that ChatGPT told me was they felt as if reparations for African Americans were not necessary because there's no one alive that still went through slavery. So the reparations are missed from the people that it actually affected.
Right.
Okay.
Not taking into account the lineage, the legacy of it, the trauma. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then not just trauma, but to act like slavery ended and everything was fine and everyone was free after that.
The racism,
incorrect.
The Jim Crows, the back of the bus.
I'm talking school to prison pipeline,
yep.
COINTEL, redlining, like the list goes on. Jim Crow, obviously, but and the lynching that still occurred in the South.
Yep.
Like that was Tulsa. Like this was still traumatic. That it never stopped. But the problem that I feel is this is a cop-out. This is an opinion that is 100% substantiated on the fact that those people felt injustice and you have no claim to what happened.
I agree.
Wrong, right? Like my grandfather doesn't own a property because he was denied the ability to own a property.
Or they
right?
stole his property.
Right. There were businesses that were stolen, generational wealth that were literally stolen. Yep. I had a business. You came in there with guns and you took it from me. That affected more than just that person. That affected that person's kids.
Yeah, right? All of the many towns like the Black Wall Street.
100%.
Yeah.
The experience for other races where if you passed away if someone passed away, there was a life insurance policy that paid out, right? You didn't have to worry about the cost affiliated just to pay respects to your loved ones. You couldn't get a life insurance policy in the 1960s if you were Black. You couldn't invest. You couldn't go and get lending to invest. Yep. So all
unless
of those
you was going to a Black insurer.
Yep. All of those opportunities have reverberating effects. And we have to take accountability for that, right? And that's not to say everyone living today is a terrible person. That has nothing to do with it. The character of the people that are living today have nothing to do with the fact that there's a debt that still has to be paid by institutions. So to take this as a personal attack or to take this and frame it as if it's a race problem, it's a debt problem.
Right.
It's just a debt problem. And we can color that any way you want to, but it's a problem that has to be addressed financially, right? It's on the ledger and it's growing interest.
Oh, yeah.
And until it's compensated for, we're still going to have these types of conversations. And until we're able to have these conversations where there's progress, you don't get to use the pull yourself up by the bootstraps analogy. That's not how this works, because the white slave owners could have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Okay, every other race could have pulled themselves up by their bootstrap, but that's not what we're doing. And if we want to talk about the objection of, well, it happened to your ancestors, not to you, that is a mindset that's only used with my people. Why? Because if I was born Native American, it's not that person that was born in 1992.
Everybody that's got a certain percentage of their blood gonna get a check.
Qualifies to be able to go to colleges and have the cost taken care of. They qualify to live on their own land, on their reservations. They qualify to own casinos. So it's not about limiting it to the people that the atrocities happened to. It's about fixing the reverberating effects that happened throughout the entire race because a genocide was attempted. And for the Native Americans, unfortunately, they were relatively successful. But we don't take the time to really dissect these objections to see the hypocrisies inside of them. And we got to point that out. We do, because it's unfair and it doesn't allow the conversations to move forward for solutions to be thought of, right? And Pastor, I know for you, when you are preaching the love of Christ, you don't differentiate with race, right?
No.
There is no race in Christ.
No.
So when we're praying over things like this for justice, it's not just justice for Black people. We want justice for everybody. We serve the God of justice.
Yeah, I believe that when one boat rise, all the boats rise.
Amen.
You know, I look at it. I recognize all of those objections to slavery, and I'm not going to say they make compelling arguments. They make an argument, but each argument can get shut down. Now, for the ones who talk about, the cost objection.
Mm.
Now, I see here in the notes the difference between reparations versus restitution.
Yep.
So reparations is compensation to make amends. Restitution is restoration of something lost.
Yes.
The companies owe us reparations, and the government owes us restitution. Now, one might say, you know what? The amount of lives that was lost. I mean, the amount of bodies that's in the bottom of oceans. The amount of faceless graves and all these types of things, and people beaten. There's a book, I might have quoted it before, PTSD, Post-Traumatic Slavery Disorder by Dr. Jeffrey Goodyear. It's an excellent read, and it talks about how the trauma actually is in the DNA of those who was descended from slaves, how we have a predisposition to certain types of trauma, and certain things impact us as a race that other races that have not been through what we've been through have. But I think, and some of my brothers and sisters, and it's good, just like every black person is a different shade of color, we got different variations of our color. I wanna say what I think. I think that it could be a combination of things. When we talk about 40 acres and a mule, some people want to say, okay, what would that look like in today's time? 40 acres and a mule would average how much money, and that's how much money each black person gets, or however they farm it out. My thing is, I want some of what the Native Americans got. I want some free schooling. I want some free health care. You know what I'm saying? I want us to have our own land, you know what I'm saying, where we can have our own stuff, like with those places that was bombed, like Black Wall Street. We need to have those types of things. Vegas has its own place where, prostitution and all different types of stuff is legal. Why can't we have, certain parts of the country that's not exclusive to black folks, but just like we got black owned, it's where people who go there and are black and build businesses, they get extra amounts of support. I think we should get small business kickbacks. I think we should, you might not be able to get us 40 acres in a mule, but maybe we don't have down payments on homes that we want to buy. Maybe we get some type of relief or subsidies to help with that. I just want our people to get on a level playing field.
Exactly.
And I think if we can incorporate all of those things, I think that maybe we might have something to work with. But you got some people like, man, look, I buy my own insurance to get my own health care. Just give me the money. And I'm like, no, I want us to be solidified. I want my people, because you got some families who ain't good with money. And they might get that 40 acres and blow it.
And that's not our problem.
Oh.
That is not our problem.
Right.
So no, let's be very clear. We are looking for restitution and reparations to have the same opportunity to be as smart as anyone else or as stupid as anybody else.
Right.
That's what it is. We're not asking for anyone to own the decision making of another person, whether that be good decision making or bad decision making. There's still individuality inside of this. We just wanted a chance for equal opportunity. So those opportunities were not afforded to my people. So we need to rectify that. That's it. And if once received that opportunity is not something that you take and you make something out of it, there's nothing else to be said. There's nothing to say that you didn't have a fair chance. You did. If you messed up that chance, that's your own. You own that, right? But we can't say that there's a grave moral issue of neglect. We can't say that there was a problem based off of the country that you were born into taking care of its citizens to make sure everyone had a shot. That would no longer be the case. Once you pay reparations, the moral slate is clean for us to say everyone in this country is on equal playing field. Everyone had a chance, and what they did with it was on them. right? But you can't say that if it's historically true that you did systematically attempt to hurt, kill, and block the rise of a particular group of people.
I think this country has some predisposition, or just like black folks got the trauma from our ancestors that were slaves in our DNA. I think the people who stole this country, I think they have some predisposition against us, somehow, some way. Because when you start listing off all of those other segments of our population who has gotten restitution and reparations, and we left out, and it's this large version to what we asking for, it's got to be something intrinsic. It's got to be something in the soul of this country that says, you know what, everybody but them. And then the way they portray us on the media, how they make us so sensational and animalistic, like it almost gives an excuse to why they should, you know what, we're going to do a test, or we're going to do a study on what it looks like, but it never goes past the study.
Well, I have come to a place in my walk with God where I don't entertain conversations where I am debating my value as a human being. That's
Bars.
Period. That's never going to happen. If I can't sit down and have a conversation with you and be viewed as an equal, we have a problem that I refuse to fix. That's something I got to pray for you about, and that's something that only God can fix. But these conversations are not, or even the notion of reparations are not being held in good faith conversation. They're not. Otherwise, we would have had progress by now. What we have are a large population of people that are in high places within our government and within corporations, where this conversation would never make it to the table, and if it did, it is completely scrapped with disdain, right? Because you're not being viewed as a person that has an equal right to opportunity. You're being viewed as a beggar. You're being viewed as someone as less than.
And a beggar can't be a chooser.
You're gonna take what I give you.
That's a fact.
And not only are you gonna take what I give you, I don't want to hear you complain about it. Right?
And you're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it, right? you're just gonna love it. That's just what it is. But no, as far as not us, well, my people have systematically been turned against each other.
Ooh, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast. But we don't have a sense of unity where our collective voices are powerful enough to where you don't have the opportunity to not hear us. You don't have the opportunity to not come to the table, because the consequences of not coming to the table aren't something that you are concerned about.
So, and I like what you said. You said we've been turned against each other.
Yes.
You know, we've been, trained to find each other suspicious and all different types of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I want to change it just a little bit. We're diverse.
Very.
We all think different. Not only do we, have this thing where they taught us to fight against each other, because that's a learned behavior, but
Absolutely.
we're diverse. We think different. We see things different. We believe different things. In the case of reparations, do you think our diversity is a hindrance? And what I mean by that is this. I was reading, and I came across this information that said, when it talked about black leadership, right, there has never been a black leader that made change who done it by itself without an organization. Like, there's never been a leader who actually made a difference in our community that done it without an organization behind them. Now, organizations are good. They help. It's strength in numbers. They help us with resources and things like that. But do we need one person, or we need somebody to kind of be the one who sets the agenda to get everybody focused in one direction. You know, we need to come. I believe Tavis Smiley and them, they came up with the covenant, or they came up with some type of book, and they had all the black leaders, and they said, this is our platform, this is what we want, this is what we want to do. And then they were supposed to give it to the Republicans and to the Democrats. And then, you know, whoever says, I'm going to implement your guys' policies, those are the ones we're going to put our votes behind you. Do we need that type of leadership in order for us to get on the same page? Because I believe if everybody was on the same page, we'd make them. They would do it.
Well, okay, so
because it's keeper to cheaper. It's cheaper to keep her, baby.
We got to figure out. We got to define that same page that you speak of. We do, because
right.
it's not fighting amongst each other, right? That's not what it is. When our people were in Africa, there were wars. We fought against each other. That's not necessarily where the breakdown was.
Okay.
It's the dehumanization that was ingrained in us and for survival. So there's a big difference.
Right.
If I fight you, but I never see you as an animal, or I don't see you as less than, it's a fair fight. Mm-hmm. So one of us is going to win, and that's just it.
Right.
If I capture you because I think that you're less than me, I see you as a monkey, and I dissect you, I mutilate your body, I take your children, these are things that you are comfortable with because you don't see that as a human being. You see this as a lesser being. And that's the culture, that's the mindset that was ingrained in us.
And that is the reason why a lot of this senseless violence is going on in our community.
So it's not that I just have a disagreement with you. You stole $5 from me and now I got to beat you up. No, it's way worse than that. You taught the fat ones to see the skinny ones as less than, or you taught the skinny ones to see the fat ones as less than. You taught the light-skinned ones to believe that they were better humans than the dark-skinned ones. You taught the dark-skinned ones that it's the light-skinned ones that want you oppressed. And somewhere along the way, we became comfortable with seeing people that look like us being oppressed because of the separations that they imposed on us. We had mulattoes. We had people that were white passing that would watch the oppression of their mothers, of their cousins.
I mean, what you want me to do? You want me to get oppressed too?
Yes. But or fight the oppressor.
Right, I
or
understand.
come back for us. Get your freedom, but you got to come back for us.
Now, is that something that needs to be taught?
It shouldn't. It was taught.
Okay.
It was brainwashed out.
Oh, okay.
We again, our people come from Africa. We are communal people.
You're right.
It takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
That's an
tribal,
African,
communal. Yep.
That's an African proverb.
Yep.
We fully understand the value of community. We fully understand the value of unity. That is a principle that comes from our people.
But we can't agree on what a reparation looks like, because a reparation to me is different than a reparation to you.
It's not about the difference. It's about the conversation and us stripping what separated us. Disagreement is not the beginning, middle, or end. Disagreement is functional to figure out how we can agree to move forward, to negotiate, to compromise, to come up with something that pleases everyone.
But I believe the government is using our disagreement as a wedge. They don't even know what they want. Well, so why should I give them anything?
There is absolutely monetization of our separation to where we have the rich athletes, the rich rappers telling us that we're broke, we're poor, we're pathetic, we're not worth anything. I'm over here having dinner with this white supremacist. Sorry for you, ha ha he he, while you're taking our money for your wealth. So it's deeper than, that's not a disagreement. A disagreement can be worked through. I can't work through you internalizing white supremacy. There's nothing I can work through. There's no negotiation there.
I agree.
So this isn't a disagreement, and I need everybody to hear me. When you're looking at these rappers tell you that you're broke, you're pathetic, you're useless.
They broke too, baby. Trust me. Ain't nobody buying them records. Everybody podcasting now. All of your favorite rappers, they podcasting now.
When you're seeing
trying to
these,
get ad dollars.
when you're seeing these black politicians that are telling you pull yourself up from your bootstraps, it's not my fault that you're not successful, blah blah. When you're hearing that, that is not a disagreement. That is internalized white supremacy. They have been brainwashed to believe that you are a problem. They're rich. They're living their best life. The problem on earth is you.
My God.
Right? And if they only had a looking glass to see back into their own history, to see what happened to their ancestors, they would understand you were selected.
But
there's such things as house niggas.
But that's a fact. That's a fact.
You were selected.
That's a fact.
You're not.
You got HNs and YNs all day long.
All day long. And their favorite thing to do is to take one of our own and make them our oppressor.
Ooh.
Because
do you have an
can't
example?
hate me.
You have an example of that? I ain't trying to get you in trouble. I'm just saying, I want to. Let's remember what you said. You don't want to just say things.
I'm trying not to point targets at people.
Okay,
I'm trying.
Well, maybe we can go viral.
He's joking. That is not the point of this podcast.
You right.
He's absolutely joking. I promise. But what I will say without saying any names.
Okay, you ain't gonna say no names.
What I will say without saying any names.
We can read between the lines.
There are whole societies that have caste systems, and I'm talking about you, Louisiana.
Ooh, Louisiana got a caste system?
They did historically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know where that brown paper bag test came from?
Oh,
yeah. You
wouldn't pass, baby, and you stay in Texas.
There were also black people, mulattoes, octones that owned.
Octones.
That's when you're an eighth black.
Wow.
Because one drop makes you black, which is the most ridiculous thing.
That word, that's a cold word. I'm a wordsmith, and I like that. He said octones.
So what I'm saying is there's a whole caste system that they made where this internalized white supremacy made them feel that they had the right to be just as cruel as their oppressors, own black slaves, benefit in the same way that the people that were oppressing them as well, but they didn't get it, were able to do. So these are the people that we have to look at with a microscope, because again, this is not a disagreement. You feel that I don't have human rights. That's not a disagreement. Ever. That will never be a disagreement. That is something that is wrong on the inside of your heart. That is a moral issue that has to be dealt with by the one true living God.
That's a fact.
And only he has the ability to change that. There's no conversation that any person can have with you that will fix that problem. Right? And let us be clear, right? In unison in state, we're not going to have that level of affliction over here. We don't have that particular problem. We each are human and we have our mistakes, but we don't have an affinity to look at other human beings and say that they are worth less, that they don't deserve human rights, right? That's an issue of the heart that you got to investigate. Why are you comfortable with that? And
in fact, the way I believe, the one who has the least should have more rights than the one who has the most.
Period.
I mean,
Period.
So based off of what we're discussing, it would appear that we have a long way to go. I mean, all of the internal stuff that we have to navigate just to get on the same page to be able to approach these people for the stuff that they owe us.
Well, how we approach it is also a part of the challenge here. Because like you mentioned before, there's reparations and there's restitution.
Right.
Reparations is the compensation to make amends. Restitution is the restoration of something lost, right? Okay. So we got to figure out how can we approach this in a logical way where we don't have institutions that are supposed to be giving reparations, giving restitutions. We don't have institutions that are giving reparations that are supposed to give restitution, right? We have to make certain that we're clear and what is owed and how we would like the approach to be taken care of so all things are fair, right?
I agree.
So if, and I'm not going to say any names, 'cause again, that's not my particular job. There are companies that live and breathe today that have directly benefited from slavery.
Wow.
Meaning their millions, their billions that they currently own, you can trace back those dollars where they were accumulated from the free labor of our ancestors.
Is this something we can find online?
You can absolutely Google it online.
So let me see.
You can are you about to say their names?
Well, I mean, if it's online, I
It
mean,
is
I guess
online.
everybody knows, right?
It is online. I'm not going to say their
Because
names.
according to their argument, we're not the people who did the enslavement. We're totally different.
You're
Those
right.
people are died out and gone. We're on something different. But if your company was started on a slave plantation and using slave labor, then, you know, hey.
You owe that bill. Your company owes that bill.
Wow.
Not the CEO, not the current, that company, whoever the CEO is, doesn't matter, owes a bill. And debts are very much a real and present, tangible piece of doing business. So you don't have to own it as a person, but your corporation has to own it as a debt. That's how that works, right?
It says many modern companies, particularly in the financial, textile, and railroad industries, had predecessor institutions that directly or indirectly benefited from the wealth generated by enslaved labor in the U.S. and British colonies.
Yep.
Many of these companies have since acknowledged and apologized for their historical ties to slavery. So we have the acknowledgement, which is in the admittance that you done something.
But you got to fix it. That's not enough.
Aetna
Oh, Jesus, he's saying the names.
sold policies in the 1850s,
Dear God.
reimbursing slavers for losses when the people they enslaved died.
Facts.
Aetna expressed regret in 2002. Bank of America,
Oh,
predecessor banks accepted enslaved people as collateral on loans.
Jesus Christ.
Barclays, the Barclays Center, acknowledged that acquired companies may have been involved in the slave trade. J.P. Morgan Chase, we talking about banks. Oh, my God, I bank with them. I need to have a meeting with them. Predecessor banks in Louisiana accepted enslaved individuals as collateral on loans and took ownership when owners defaulted. The company has apologized and established a scholarship fund. Oh, maybe that might be a piece of reparations. New York Life Insurance Company, Brooks Brothers, CXS Course, Domino's Sugar, Tiffany & Co., USA Today. My God, educational institutions. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and Georgetown benefited from donations of wealth generated by slave-owning families or enslaved laborers. My God.
Disclaimer. What you have just heard is not the personal opinion of the Unplugged podcast
No,
or host.
that's Google. That's Google
are-
AI. That's Gemini.
What has just been recited before you is information readily available on the internet as it pertains to slavery and companies that have benefited, not opinions from this
Wachovia.
podcast. So we will not be owning that. Thank you very much. If anyone has a problem with what was stated, you need to take that up with Google.
That's
okay?
okay.
All
Yep.
right. Just making sure we're on the same page.
Yep.
All right. So
Wow.
don't send me no cease and desist. You need to take that up with Google himself. Okay. Thank you very much. So what I'm saying is it's those companies that owe compensation. That would be reparations. The dollars affiliated with the free labor that you were accumulating wealth from need to be paid back.
Well, what if they said, you know what, man, we was just only in the slave trade for a year.
That is.
We were just a year in. And then we after that year, that was it. We didn't mess around again. So do that. What would that? How would that help, fall for them?
So I mean, I think at that point we have to be pretty honest with what you're saying. We were only in the slave trade for a year. Let's be very clear on what the slave trade was, because I feel like we be using those words, and it rolls off the tongue, and we're not giving it its full honor as to what that term means. There is indentured servitude, there is slavery, and then there's chattel slavery.
That's a fact.
And if you don't know the difference between those three, do not have the conversation. I came to you on the at the beginning of the episode saying, hey, there are some things that I've been wrong about, and I'm learning that if I don't have the time to fully discuss it, or if I'm uneducated about any part of it, don't have a conversation about it. It's not your moment. Right? Okay. So when you say that I was only in it for a year, let's be clear on what that means. That means that your company and our government facilitated human trafficking. You facilitated rape. You facilitated the destruction of families by stealing babies and relocating them, renaming them, and separating them from all of their inheritance. For all you know, that was Prince Akeem, and now you calling him Toby. And so he will never be a prince. His mother has no idea how to contact with him and never will. You destroyed bloodlines. You eradicated legacies, right? You mutilated bodies. You did testing. You did scientific testing with no anesthesia. Okay, so you don't get to say, oh, I only did it for a year. No. This is not indentured servitude where you're working to pay off a debt and you're still considered a human. You dehumanized a people. You literally treated them as chattel. You put chains around their neck. You hobbled them when they tried to run. If you don't know what hobbling is, let me be clear. You made certain that they wouldn't be able to run again by making certain that the bones in their legs and feet would no longer support them walking or running. That's hobbling someone.
That's a fact.
Okay? So no, you don't get to say, oh, we only did it for a year. Do you know what that year, the damage of that year did? I don't care if you did it for a day. The level of destruction and the reverberation of it is atrocious on all accounts. It was devoid of humanity. You made human beings animals. In fact, you wouldn't even treat animals like that because we got PETA. So no, there is no we only did it for a year. We only did it for 6 months. You have to compensate for what happened. And what happened were felonies.
That's a fact.
All of it is a felony. No part of it is a misdemeanor. It wasn't a minor infraction. These are felonies. You murdered people. People were murdered. Not only were they murdered, they were tortured. So we're not doing that. We're not saying it was only a year. We had black women that were breastfeeding children that grew up to beat them and rape them.
Ugh.
No, you don't get to say we only did it for a year. I don't care how long you did it.
So once again, when we start talking about corporations and limited liability corporations and stuff, at some point, is there some type of when you have a certain corporation or LLC, the company itself is protected from the actions of its workers. So the company has the entities, or if you can sue the company, but you can't sue the person. You can sue the person, but you can't sue the company because it was the person, not the company, that was raping and pillaging and killing. So they might have some type of deniability or some type of protection that would say, hey.
Yeah, that's why you're not in prison.
Okay.
But the money got to come back.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
The plausible deniability that you have is because you did not commit the crime. The debt that is accumulated is because you took the money.
So
and you never gave it back.
So what if the company can't? So say there's a number. Mm-hmm. This company, Chase, owes $1 trillion. We done did the math. It's $1 trillion. They don't got the $1 trillion. Mm-hmm. What, do we put them on a payment plan? What do we?
Everybody gets it. With all debts, everybody gets a payment plan. I'm on payment plans. Okay.
Oh yeah, you know me too.
You get to be on payment plans.
I get it.
Right. So
I get it.
I think we just have to get to the point where we're talking about this in a way where we're operating with integrity. You did it. You acknowledge you did it. Okay, that's not enough. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
It's a debt from your company. I'm not accusing you as a person. You didn't do it as a person. Let's be clear. There's no person alive that I'm looking to accuse of these things. The company and the institution of our government did these things. Mm. So whoever is at the company or whoever is in the government has to pay. That's it. We don't have to have conversations about personal personal crimes because no person that's still alive did it. You're absolutely right. So why is that a part of the, why is that used as a way to shut down the conversation? It shouldn't be, because it's an illogical point. It's a red herring. It has nothing to do with the matter of the fact, which is a debt is owed. So make a payment plan, figure it out. So you mentioned some really good pieces of ideas where we could figure out reparations that are owed from corporations and restitution that would be owed from the government. So my ideas surrounding this are completely negotiable, and I'd love for our people to come together and.
I like your plan, though. Your plan is my plan. That's the plan I want.
Well, I'd love for it to be a conversation, and it shouldn't just be a conversation amongst our people, but it should be a negotiation with the entities that owe. Right? We gotta come to the table and figure it out. So the first thing that I would say is you took homes. You took homes and you denied opportunities to get homes. If I happened to be a Black person that was capable and I was an architect or I was a carpenter and I built my own home, you still came and took it. Yes. So because you took homes, as a part of the reparations, which is the compensation that we're talking about, you're gonna have to come up with these homes. Ooh. You're gonna have to give $350K toward a home.
Ooh, that's a good home out here in Texas.
That's the average cost of a home. Nationally, the average cost of a home is about $350.
Oh, Lord. So
that isn't an ask for more than anybody else or less than anybody else. It's the average. I didn't make the average. You mad about that dollar amount? You need to talk to somebody about the economy of the U.S. because I ain't come up with that number myself. That's the average.
So that money is not a lump sum of money. It's supposed to go towards a house. You can buy a home. You can. That means if I go to a bank,
if I go to one of the banks that is responsible, and again, I'm not personally.
Now you know them Negroes know how to scam. Now
I'm not personally going, but if I go to a bank and I say I need a home, you're giving me $350 toward the home of my choice.
You know them Negroes are gonna find a way to get the bank to give somebody 2 or 3.
That's not an option.
Homes.
That's not an option.
Okay. All right.
No, we're going to be fair and we're going to be clear.
Well,
we
don't talk about it. We don't talk about Somalis in Minnesota and how them Negroes did what they did. And we need to. My people need to figure out how to do that because.
Oh Lord.
Talking about $8 billion.
Stop it.
That they sent back home. My God. Anyways.
We're not doing this. So also because the free enterprise of Black people were taken. I'm talking about you, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, that suffered domestic terrorism.
I love it.
Because you decided to bomb, right? Because you destroyed Black enterprise, you're going to have to come up with $25,000 for each person to start their own business.
Oh, just 25?
Just 25.
That's
the average cost to start a business, $25,000.
Oh, wow.
That's the average cost. That's how much that is.
So is that lump sum payment, or is that small business SBA go towards your business plan or whatever? You got to have a business.
That is a lump sum for the business, meaning you're not going to physically see these dollars in the sense of you can spend it towards anything else. You come to them with a business plan, you get the $25.
See, white folks will go for that now. They'll go for that. That's what I'm talking about. You got a great plan. I like that.
You see what I'm saying? So because this is about fixing what was wrong. That's what it fixed what was wrong.
Right.
I want free tuition at HBCUs. Why? Because you killed my ancestors for learning how to read. We have a problem fundamentally. Yeah. You purposely sought to make us unintelligent. And then hilariously, years later on TV asking why there's a problem with intellect in our with my people. Yeah. Stop playing in my face.
Right.
Stop playing in my face. You're going to have to come up to make certain that my people are educated and have equal playing field. Right? That's what you're going to have to do. You did the school to prison pipeline. You blocked us from being educated at your facilities, at your colleges, whether even community colleges you blocked us from. So you're going to have to come up with tuition at HBCUs.
Amen.
Right? Yeah. All right. So that's how I feel about corporations. Now, if we were to add all of that up, Is it a hefty bill? Absolutely, it's a hefty bill. But let's be very clear: you can't buy a home unless you're 18 or older. You
Come
can't
on
start a
now.
business unless you're 18 and
And
older.
everybody ain't entrepreneurs, so they might
Everybody
save
is an
some money right
entrepreneur,
there.
so they might not even take the 25,000 for a business plan.
But you know, my people, you know the way my people got down on that COVID, they gonna make some business plans for people
Oh,
and
we
get
gonna
that
have
money.
a business.
We
Oh, we
get
gonna
that
have a business. Okay.
Absolutely.
And if you make tuition at no cost at HBCUs, first of all, black women are already the most educated demographic in the U.S. And I find that hilarious because give any white supremacist with a mic a chance to speak, and they're gonna say how uneducated black people are or black women are specifically, and I find that funny.
That's why my girl Candace Owens is killing them right now.
Stop it.
Cause she black, by the way.
When she want to be.
No, no, that's who she is.
See,
that's
I'm
why
not
she
trying to talk
got
about nobody passing. You are so messy.
she got a mouth. She got a way with words. You know,
You
like
be so bad. Listen, Candace, I ain't trying to start a smoke with you.
No, we don't want
But
no
girl,
smoke.
go ahead and come to the table. Go ahead and come to the front of class.
She's not afraid to debate. She will go into those murky
it's not
waters.
about being afraid to. It's about making certain that you don't buy into the idea that you sell out your people.
No, what my point is when you were saying black women have a voice.
Yeah.
And so my point was no matter what side of the spectrum of the aisle they on,
Yeah.
we are black
We are
women
educated.
are formidable.
Yes, we are educated.
You are formidable opponents.
Yeah.
I like y'all on my team. I don't want to go against y'all. That's the fact.
Period. I love it. So let's talk about restitution. Restitution again is a way of making certain that you restore what was lost. Okay? So we're not making up accusations. You're going to restore in kind for what was taken.
Wow.
That's it. No more, no less. So let's talk about what was taken. First of all, from the moment that slavery started to Jim Crow, you taxed my ancestors.
Factual.
You taxed them when they did not have representation or equal opportunity for representation. What does this country do with taxation without representation? Remind me again. When you want to talk about violence in the streets, you want to talk about Black Lives Matter, you want to talk about how you feel my people are just so unruly. What did this country do with taxation without representation? Remind me. Y'all guys real gangster with some tea. That's what I remember in the history books. That was the Boston Tea Party. You wasn't having it. There's a whole revolution of taxation without representation. So you taxed my ancestors, and you did not allow them representation. You taxed them for government services that they were disqualified from. You charged them. You took portions of their income and refused to let them use government facilities. They had a separate water fountain, but they was paying for the water fountain that you was drinking from.
Come on now.
Okay, so you tax them without representation. Problem. So what are we going to do about that? Well, I'm going to say for the exact amount of time that you taxed my ancestors without allowing them representation, you going to have to exempt us from taxes for the exact same amount of time. What was that? I don't know. 100 years?
Whoa.
Between slavery and Jim Crow?
Ted Cruz ain't going for that.
When Jim Crow ended, you're going to have to exempt my people for about 100 years. Now, again,
so let me just add for clarity.
by all means.
Is it 100 years per family, or is it like from 2025 on? Whenever it's enacted. Well, whenever it's enacted. To 100 years
let's
from
be
now.
hypothetical. Let's say 2026. 100 years from 2020, then you can start taxing my people.
Wow. I need that.
How about that? And again, we're not asking for exemption forever like other people have. We're asking for the exact amount of time that you stole from us.
Listen,
and blocked us.
The great prophet Dave Chappelle said, "Should have never gave none of you niggas money." Because that's exactly what's going to happen. If we don't get taxation for 100 years on top of all of the other corporate things that you said, we gonna be, our people gonna be okay. Yeah, we got a nice little.
We're gonna be on an even footing.
Yeah, almost. It's still more to go.
We're gonna talk about because there's a couple more ideas I have, right?
Yep.
So because you specifically, systematically ripped apart African American families, meaning these two people were married when you captured them, and you took the wife and put her on one plantation, and you sold the husband to another, you broke the holy sacrament of marriage intentionally, here's what you're going to have to do. For every African American that marries another African American, you're going to have to come up 5K. Yeah, you're going to have to support black families now. Yeah, wow. That's what you're going to have to do. Yeah.
A rebate of $5K.
A rebate of $5K, which means I paid you $5,000 in taxes already. You're going to give it back because I got married. Thank you very much.
Whoa.
You're going to support black families.
Wow.
You're going to support them being together because you systematically attempted to tear us down. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, right? And no, I'm not talking about a child tax. No. I'm not talking about a credit because I had a baby. You're not going to just support me because I had a baby. You're going to support the institution of marriage amongst African Americans because you systematically attempted to break it down.
Wow.
That's what you're going to do.
Tax rebate of $5K for African Americans who marry other African Americans.
Yes.
Wow. So what if I love, my little porcelain queen? You know what I'm saying? What if I'm black?
That's none of my business, but by all means, I support you. But you systematically broke apart African people's marriage.
I know, but what if I like a little mayonnaise on my sandwich?
Eat your mayonnaise. You okay.
I can't get the tax rebate because I'm black. It's got to be.
Because
okay.
the attack was on African marriages. You systematically broke up African marriages. And then you raped the women and you raped the men separately. So this was an attack on African marriages. So you're going to have to rebate African marriages.
So it's an incentive on marriage. So
correct.
Once again, because my people be getting that money, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Is it a one-time? What if me and you got married? You're African American, I'm African American. We get the rebate, and then we get divorced, and I marry another African American woman. Is that every time?
It's a one time.
Okay, I'm just trying,
because
we be trying to figure it out.
Because it's to fix what was lost.
Right.
What was lost was the holy sacrament of marriage amongst African Americans.
Okay.
And we can see the reverberating process of that now. You want to ask why aren't there fathers in the home? Why are there so many single black
because
mothers?
The news is reporting that it's not fathers in the home.
I mean,
I have data
Elon
that shows
Musk has so many kids. He's not in the home with all of his kids either, but we don't hear that as a headline.
And that's intentional.
We're gonna leave that alone. We're gonna leave that alone.
He's breeding. He's not even like trying to make families. He's breeding with who he wants to breed with.
Let's incentivize. Let's fix what was lost. Let's incentivize African American families.
Wow.
Period. Okay, so I also need, as a part of fixing what's lost or providing for what was lost, all of those men and women that you took off to prison for crimes that are now legal, I'm gonna need you to let them go.
State and federally.
Yes, I'm gonna need you to let them go. Yeah, and let's be very clear. There's laws that they made up just to be able to enslave black people again, like loitering. That wasn't a thing. That was a thing because too many black people hanging around was seen as a threat. So now loitering is legal. Right. Being homeless wasn't necessarily illegal at one point in time. But no, you know what? You don't have a home? Did you just leave the plantation because we freed you? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's illegal to not have a home. Well, I don't have any money. I've been a slave for years. We're going to have to take you to prison and you're going to have to be a slave again. That's what they did. Let's be clear. So you're going to have to come up off them people that you just decided to put in prison and turn into slaves again.
So those laws that have been decriminalized both state and federally, they didn't retroactively?
No, it's not retroactive.
Okay.
If you were smoking weed and you got caught by a police officer and you were put in prison for such a thing because of how much weed you had or whatever the case may be, and now the state law says that weed is legal, you're still in prison.
Yeah, I know some guys that happen to.
Meanwhile, a person of a different race can have a whole dispensary, living their best life. Because they did it. So no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. If it's legal now and they were detained on those same charges, you're going to have to let it go. For nonviolent crimes. Let me be very clear, because at some point in this country...
Well, I don't see where people are going to be decriminalizing violent crimes, but, maybe...
No, because at some point in this country, it wasn't illegal to beat your wife.
Oh, I wasn't living during those times. Wow.
So we're not going to... for nonviolent crimes only, if it's decriminalized, you need to be let go. Okay, all right. Now, also, I'm going to need DNA testing. I'm going to need DNA testing for violent crimes.
That's not my baby. That is not my baby.
No. Not I said for violent crimes. So for all of those people that were detained with a lack of physical evidence for the time period that they were charged, I'm going to need you to overturn those cases for DNA testing. Yeah, that's what I need.
A lot of death penalty cases.
Because unfortunately, we had things like Central Park 5.
Yep.
Where it was just accusations. There was no DNA evidence.
Yep.
And then when it comes out years later that these are innocent black men that were just troved off to prison for felonies, I'm gonna need you to knock it off.
But what about crimes that there is no DNA?
So
it's circumstantial evidence or whatever, but there is no DNA.
That's unfortunate. We don't have a way of fixing that. But unfortunately, what we do have a way of fixing is for all of these crime scenes where they did collect evidence. Mm-hmm. But because the law, unfortunately, at that time wasn't executed without prejudice, especially for people that look like you and I, they weren't always tested. Right. We have an unprecedented amount of rape kits that were never tested.
Yep.
And I'm gonna need all that DNA testing to take place.
Yep. No matter if it's inconclusive or not.
Retest.
Yep.
And test. Again, why are these rape kits not being tested?
Same reason the Epstein files ain't been released.
We're slowly getting more of those Epstein files, but whoo, Lord.
I mean.
And also, in terms of restitution, to provide for what was lost, I'm going to need, moving forward, all law enforcement that is indicted and found guilty of murdering unarmed citizens, that compensation comes from their pension.
Come on now.
Their pension.
Now, this administration, I know for sure, and I'm not sure about other administrations, but they're working tirelessly to try to help or to protect, officers or first responders who might get caught up in situations like Officer Chauvin and them, where they were in the middle of doing their job and it went left or whatever happened and somebody died or was severely injured or maimed or disabled. And they're trying to make it so that there's some type of protection for them so that they're not brought on charges, or at the very least the state governments or the city governments aren't being sued and bankrupt because a stupid police officer done pulled somebody out the car for a normal traffic stop and done beat him unrecognizable with his police flash.
Exactly.
Light. So, yeah.
So here's the thing. Let's make sure that we're on the same page with what he just said. If a cop kills someone that was unarmed, found guilty, and now there is a settlement that needs to be paid to the family, you know who's paying that? Me, you,
the city.
Every taxpayer.
The taxpayer, yep.
Not the cop. The cop at worst loses his job.
Yep.
The cop at worst serves a sentence.
Yep.
But who's paying us? No more. Nay, I say. What's going to happen is whomever that police officer is, whomever that law enforcement is, your pension is compensation. You lose what you worked for. You're not going to take money from me. I didn't do it. And you're definitely not going to charge me because you shot and killed someone that looks like me.
And it's, at the very least, the police need to cover the expenses for the funerals, too.
100%. It comes from the compensation of that office.
Yep.
Your pension, your office, your budget.
Yep.
So now, if you have an accusation of impropriety where a death occurs, you can take it seriously because nobody else is footing the bill but you.
That's a fact.
So now let's see how often the body cam gets turned off.
You're right.
Now let's see how often you were scared for your life when you got to pay the bill.
That's a fact.
Because we're not coming to bail you out.
That's a fact.
I'm not responsible for you murdering the people that look like me because of your fears that deeply racist. That I'm not doing that. So you handle that. And I bet you we're going to have a lot more sensitivity training now. Right? Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to need you to do as a government, make Malcolm X's birthday a holiday.
My God.
Yeah. I see
Lord
what you
Jesus.
did there. You gave Dr. Martin Luther King a holiday because he was the nice one.
Well, Malcolm was a
He was
felon.
a passive one.
Malcolm was a felon.
Like they didn't lock up MLK too? You know they locked up MLK too, right?
Yeah, but he was,
Nah. You gave them both records. Well, okay. Malcolm earned his before.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Malcolm earned his record.
He was Detroit Red. He was Detroit Red.
You right. He was Detroit
Malcolm
Red. But
was
that's not the
peaceful
point.
protesting. They didn't know what to do with it.
They made Malcolm. They made Martin public enemy number one.
That's right.
He was peaceful. They made him that. But you murdered him. Let's be very clear on that. That was something that you acknowledged. But okay. Let's be clear on the fact that they were
So
both
get your hand out of my pocket. That was the government, or that was the people?
No, I was talking about Martin. But I mean,
okay. My bad.
But I mean, as far as Malcolm is concerned, that's another rabbit hole. That's another rabbit hole. We're gonna need a whole other podcast on that one. But what I will say is, you favored the civil rights leader that you felt was the safest versus honoring them both for their efforts in the space of human rights. And that's a problem. That's problematic.
So was it black folks who petitioned for that holiday, or was it white folks?
It was actually James Brown.
James Brown is the one who...
James Brown went to the White House.
Okay, and he
specifically asked for Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday to be a holiday.
And that's why we need Kanye and them to keep going to the White House. Kim Kardashian. We need people who got influence to go to the White House.
I think Kanye needs to focus on some mental health.
Well, not him, but I know
before he goes anywhere.
He went to the White House and he advocated for Larry Hoover.
And
Larry Hoover,
he did.
a couple years later, has been pardoned by this president.
Pardon is a strong word. His sentence was commuted.
Excuse me. It was commuted.
Yeah.
But now he still has state charges or whatever. But
I wish. I'm not even going to say I wish he was pardoned, but pardons are different in the sense that it wipes out what you owe.
Right.
Anything you owe.
Right.
Time, money, you are clean.
Right.
Your sentence being commuted just means we're going to let you out of jail.
Right.
Or let you out of prison. Right? And there's a big difference because when you're released from prison or when you're released from jail, you are still on probation.
Yep.
And probation costs money.
And
I don't know if people know that. There's money attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is there money, but there's restrictions. You got to be home by a certain time. You might have to wear an ankle bracelet. But you can't just go out.
Now, how you know? Did you mess around with somebody that was locked up before? Somehow you know that? You know the nitty-gritties about restitution and curfews and stuff. How you know? You ain't never been, you know you're not a jailbird. I know that for a fact.
I ain't been locked. I ain't never been
I know you come from... I know you got some people that's from that way, but I just want to know because good girls like y'all end up sometimes
with the bad boy.
Yeah, you writing letters and stuff and all that type of stuff. You done turned into a real prison advocate out here. That's crazy. I love it.
I mean, and it's not just, if you date the bad boy, but you have family.
Oh, yeah.
You have family that go through it, too.
You got family, yeah.
And you want to see your family win.
You got pastors that be through it, too. Yeah.
You got family that serve their time, and they're trying to get it together, and they're trying to get a job, but they can't take the job because the schedule that they need is 1 to 10, and you got to be home by 8.
Come on now.
Okay, can we talk about it?
Yes.
For people that served their time, they paid their debt to society. And we're still blocking their opportunity. So, yeah, it is far better to be pardoned because you don't have that process that you have to go through for years. And it could very well be years.
Wow.
Right? And how you going to pay your fees to be able to stay on probation and you ain't got a job?
That's a fact. Yep.
Don't even get me started.
Yep. And then the whole, check the box thing, having to put whether you're a felon and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
Immediate resume in the trash. Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs.
And don't even get me started on the fact that some of these people actually have mental health issues since they were released from prison, and they see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist wants to give them this drug, but you can't take that drug. Why? Because if it shows up in your piss test, it's a problem. But it's actually what you need. You actually need this drug to mentally be okay, so you can function. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
And the probation officer has no power to take that drug off of that
No
test,
power.
off of that list that says restricted drugs that should not be in your urine.
Right.
So, yep.
And
yep.
it could be just be an ingredient
Yep.
in the drug that you need to
Yep.
mentally be able to function. And there's
Yep.
no way for you to get an approval on it. They don't care.
Yep.
They're mass producing these reports to be able to say who owes and who's getting locked up again. It's a mess. It really is a mess. But as I was saying,
Right.
as I was saying, we do have a civil rights leader that has a past. And if the idea of being great in this country is exempt from people having a past, well, we need to start looking at Mount Rushmore. Okay, why we honoring them leaders? Most of them were slave owners. If you want to talk about making certain that we're judging people equally that have a past and we shouldn't be honoring them, we're going to have to look at everybody then.
Yep. That's a fact.
Okay, so you're not going to exempt our civil rights leaders because they have a past, especially when they grew up in the same society that was built with the oppression that you utilize to monetize off of them. So no, we're not doing that. Make Malcolm X's birthday a holiday.
You know what? I'm sorry. My wife ain't here, so I got to cut up. So, I Malcolm X is one of my favorite, civil rights heroes.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get some pushback. There's gonna be some people like, nah, Malcolm X or whatever. But what I was getting ready to say was, you want to know what I have noticed,
What?
and it's probably off base.
Oh my gosh, what did you notice?
But light-skinned blacks are more pro-black than dark-skinned blacks.
Wow, this is a lot. That was a big. That was a mouthful. Oh my gosh.
So when we talk about
Jesus.
so when we start talking about being put against each other or whatever, because that might not be true or not, but all of my light-skinned blacks, they go hard. I have a light-skinned black co-host.
Not a light-skinned black. Jesus, fix it, Lord.
And I'm telling you, she blacker than black, black, but black. You ever seen CB4 when the old boy was like blackity black, 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 black?
I can't with you right now.
My light-skinned blacks, they want it all. They trying to compensate for the melanin that they left on the table. My God.
No, it's
She said, I want Malcolm X. She said, I ain't done yet. We want not Medgar Evers.
I love Medgar.
Not any of the other ones. Malcolm X. The one who said Plymouth Rock. What did he say at Plymouth?
We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. First of all, no.
The roosters came home to roost and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
My problem is they attempt to erase his impact. They're comfortable with Dr. Martin Luther King, and so you started.
Was he spewing hate? Was at the time he was very radical, and at the time what he was saying probably need to be said.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't he calling them out their names and white devils and this and that and blah blah blah, and they need the same stuff that happened to us to happen to them? And I agree.
Hold on. I don't agree. Let's be clear.
No. I mean, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth back then, but we didn't have the power or the infrastructure to fight back. But if you firebomb my house with my kids, then guess what? I think you need to see what that feel like too. We didn't have the means to fight back, but I like what some of the stuff he was saying at the time.
Okay.
Here's even at the end of Martin Luther King's life, he said, not necessarily that he regretted the peaceful, nonviolent movement, but he felt like, I think I'm going to get the quote where he said he felt like he led his people into the destruction by not having them fight back.
So that's it. First of all, there's a lot to respond to. Let's start with the light-skinned blacks trying to make up for Bellington. That's not how this works. Right? Our people, African Americans, the diaspora of us is so unbelievably vast. We come black as night and albino, okay, and everywhere in between. We are an extraordinarily diverse race. And there's love all throughout. What I will say is that there has been, again, a systematic brainwashing that occurred within our race where there were attempts to build supremacy off of skin color. And so for the people that bought into it, shame on you. If you light skinned and you're out here thinking that you're better than somebody that looks darker than you need to seek help immediately. And we're happy to give you a recommendation for a therapist. But that is not the truth of the matter. We are all one family. And I mean one family, not just black people, but we are one family as a human race. So there is no such thing as being superior because you look a certain way. Those are standards that were built with evil intentions of separation. So let's not do that. That's again, it's white supremacy, and unfortunately, white supremacy permeated all of culture, all of societies, from India to everywhere, to the Polynesian Islands, to Hawaii, to all across the world. Every culture, unfortunately, ate up this white supremacist idea to where skin tone was equivalent in their culture to being of a higher value. And it's disgusting, and we got to dismantle it. So for the light-skinned people that you know that are out here screaming Black Power, we are the ones that are rejecting the brainwashing. And we want to see all of our people win, and we're going to be loud and vocal about it because so many of our ancestors that had similar skin tones were the ones that moved to a different state and started pretending that they was Cindy Lou and was perfectly fine with their cousins being whipped and beaten and had their businesses stolen, and were told to go off and live their best life being white passing. So we can't let that happen, and we have to be vigilant in that regard to make sure that every skin tone and every shade of our people understands being complacent with the suffering of your of your people is a crime against humanity.
Amen. Amen. Now I be saying this stuff because I be trying to get a rise out of her, and I just, you pull it out of her. She got bars. So I gotta say something that's gonna trigger a response that she's gonna clap back, and then you guys are gonna disagree, and then y'all gonna
with this guy.
That quote that I was saying about Dr. Martin Luther King, he had a 60 Minutes interview with Mike Wallace, where he was. They said that he was, I guess, he realized the validity of violence. And he made a quote. He says, "A riot is the language of the unheard." And so where we was before, we was holding hands and getting sprayed with hose and dogs biting us and whipping us and all of that, and we keep standing and walking. Now these folks, the hot summer, back then in '65. The long hot summer in '64, they was burning down stuff and fighting back and rioting. And he was like, well, maybe that might be another way to get things done.
I mean, there is only two ways to protest: violently and non-violently. And when you do it violently, it's not called a protest, it's a revolution or an insurrection. So what we're looking to do is not overthrow the government that we were born into. We're looking for an internal change for our government to see all peoples as equal and provide the benefits and services to all its citizens as it was supposed to do. And I'm not going to say designed to do, because it actually was not designed to do that. It was actually designed as a institution that very much favored oppression of certain individuals.
So how does an internal change come about externally? I mean, from an external source.
Yeah, we have to appeal to the morality of it.
Because we're on the outside trying to get our government and these institutions to have an internal reckoning.
Yeah.
So how do you have an external, what's the word I want to use? An external catalyst that would trigger an internal response. Like, so our external is, we want reparations, all these picketing and all these different things we're doing, coming up with policies or whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
How do we get them to acquiesce to what we're doing? I believe it has to happen on the inside, but the thing is we don't have enough people on the inside to make that change.
Well, anytime that you're seeking rapid change, rapid and immediate and impactful change, you have to address it both in the spiritual and in the physical.
Ooh. And
that's how you accomplish it. If you accomplish it one way or the other, it's going to take longer. That's the truth of the matter. we address this spiritually because we do have this moniker being utilized, this word being thrown around of Christian that is being used improperly. If you're a Christian, you cannot deny helping widows and the orphaned and the poor and the sick and those locked up. That is anti-scripture, which is anti-Christian.
Yep.
That's not following the teachings of Christ, right? Right. Okay. So we have to appeal to the moral nature of those that claim Christianity. We have to be able to point out the hypocrisy. And it's not about shaming individuals. It's about shaming the mindset. All of you that think this way are problems to the faith. Not to me specifically, but to the faith. So collectively, there has to be a reckoning within the faith to be able to say, this mindset is unchristian, therefore we cannot contribute to it. We cannot utilize it, whether it be in matters of our personal lives or whether it be in matters of government or any type of institution.
Facts.
So we have to appeal there, and we have to do so in prayer, and we have to do so vigilantly with calling these types of behaviors out and propagating what it's supposed to look like. And if we don't do an internal reckoning, we won't be able to propagate what it's supposed to look like because we're not doing it ourselves.
Amen.
I have to be able to forgive others because I hope to be forgiven. I have to be able to honor the Lord with my finances because I pray that my financial needs are taken care of by the Lord. So it's an internal reckoning. It has to have an outward expression, and we have to be able to honestly walk before the Lord and have these conversations that aren't easy, that implicate ourselves daily, but it is a part of the journey of life.
Amen.
So that's the spiritual side. The physical side is we need to be able to gather in spaces, whether it be in person or digitally, on one accord to have these conversations of organization. Without organization, we're not going to be able to make any type of process.
And that's my thing. It's so many of us. It's so many different organizations, and we all got different goals and different directions.
Yeah.
You got black folks who disagree with other black folks.
And that's again, disagreement is not the beginning, middle, or end.
Right.
Disagreement is natural and healthy because it allows for the solution to be comprehensive. You disagree. Why? Oh, that's a point that I didn't consider in building the solution. Thank you for disagreeing with me. So the conversation is bigger and more inclusive. But we are so trained with our pride, and we have to fight against this sin. This sin, pride, is tricky and disgusting. It is the first thing that we were deceived by in the garden. It was pride. It was God's holding out on you.
Wow.
You're going to be like him. Do this and
That's a plan.
He's holding out. You don't have everything. What? Are you in a garden? You don't have to work for anything? You just chilling with God, living your best life? He's holding out on you. There's something else.
There's more.
There's more. And
That's
you deserve
why he don't
it.
want you to touch that tree.
That's why you'll be like him. You'll be a God yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pride. It's pride in a disgusting, many different disguises. But it's pride. We have to be able to dismantle it. Someone disagreeing with you is not a threat. Someone disagreeing with you is an opportunity to have a deeper conversation and to consider things that you might not have before.
Ooh.
That's all it is.
Man.
Disagreement is not the end. The end is where you think people are not equal to you. That's the end. There is nothing that can push you past that place.
I agree.
Right? So, for your point that you mentioned, didn't Malcolm X say a whole bunch of racist things, blah, blah, blah? Yes, he did. Was he racist? Yes, he was. Did he admit it? Yes, he did. And unfortunately, we have a lot of other leaders that never admitted that they were racist, but he admitted it. And not only did he admit it, he continued his work internally on it and made that public. So anytime that you can look at a camera and talk into a mic and admit your faults as a leader, you're the guy that I need to be listening to.
Yeah.
It's the guy that looks you dead in your face and says, I've never done anything wrong. Trust me, that you need to be worried about.
Joey B.
Anyway. But no, he understood his failures, his flaws as a leader and as a person. And when he went to Mecca and he was worshiping with people that looked different than him, that people that were Caucasian, people that were Asian, it was his faith that he saw unity in. And he brought that back to the U.S. And not only did he bring it back to the U.S., he did something unprecedented with any other civil rights leader, which is why he deserves to be acknowledged. He finally came to the conclusion after this spiritual experience that he had in Mecca to say, you know what we're experiencing in the United States with Black people is not a civil rights issue. This is a humanitarian issue. We are human beings. We need to be talking to the UN, the United Nations, because they need to acknowledge that we are humans and this is a humanitarian feat. And we need to have international law supersede what we're seeing here in the US, because this is a crime against humanity. This isn't just a genocide. This isn't just a problem with a government. This is a crime against all of humanity that's taking place here.
I agree.
And because he did this, we did have the UN giving commentary on what was happening in the US, because it was a crime against humanity, because we are human beings. And this isn't just our problem. This is a problem with being human. So if you are a human being, you might want to take interest in this. You might want to make certain that your rights too are protected, because if this can happen to one group of people, you are just a person yourself, and it can happen to your group, whatever group you ascribe to.
You better advocate. You know what? You should have went down that lawyer road, and it still ain't too late.
I can't. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. But again, if we were to just judge people off of being racist and say, oh, if you're racist, you can't be a leader, baby.
Oh yeah. But well, we know that there's some we have some holidays, presidents and all presidents.
We got pull out some money from your wallet, and you're gonna see somebody that was a racist that never admitted it and never did internal work. And was proudly died a racist.
Exactly.
We got some slave owners on that money, okay? Exactly. Looking at them every day. Exactly. All right? So let's be clear. I support the impact that Malcolm X had. I support that he made the conversation bigger than just about Black people, just about civil rights. He enlarged it to being about humans and humanity, and that's exactly the lens that we should be looking at these types of things. But ultimately, I think with this conversation, what we achieved is giving a fresh perspective on what it would look like to have an equal playing field for our people in spite of what happened to us, and what work would take for that to take place. And I think that's the conversations that should be happening. And I think that's the type of ideology that we should be supporting. How can we make certain that every human has an equal shot? We can't support the idea that everyone's going to have the same thing. Everyone is not going to have the same thing. Everyone's not going to utilize an opportunity the same way. You're not going to have the same result. And I know that that's another commentary that, we can't subsidize equity.
I agree.
You can't.
Wow,
you're right.
You can't subsidize equity.
You can't subsidize equity,
That's
but
a word.
You can provide an equal
That
opportunity. You can provide an equal opportunity. And in fact, it is your moral right to provide equal opportunity.
That is a word.
All right, that's it. That's all I have. Anything that you have left, Pastor?
No. I was writing that in my notes. You can't subsidize equity.
You cannot subsidize equity. You can't make sure everybody has a mansion. It's impossible. But you can make sure everybody has a chance to get a mansion.
That's good. Well, I appreciate it. This was a great dialogue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good
wow.
times.
Well, at least we can't be accused of being racist. No. But that's what happens when you have a light-skinned Black as your podcast host.
I love my chocolate people.
Absolutely.
Milk chocolate, right. Dark chocolate.
Yeah, you chocolate.
Chocolatey chocolate. I know all the chocolate.
Right.
We got some white chocolates in there. Hey, Eminem.
Right. Well, that's debatable. He just sounds like. But anyways.
He from the D.
He from
the D.
He is, but we know who he is.
What's that supposed to mean?
They refer to him as the white boy in the D.
Well, I mean, that's
subjective. He gets the respect and the fanfare for what he's done in the music industry. But as far as like having a hood pass, him going he can't walk where he wanted. He got to be tricking them. Still got to bring him to the hood. He still.
So Eminem can't go where he wanted to do?
No.
Really?
No, not like that.
Y'all gonna hit up Eminem? Dang.
No. He respected now. Now, if he come, if somebody bring him, it's good. But
not if somebody bring him.
oh yeah, if somebody bring him, one of them.
That's not great.
Yep.
That's not where you want to be.
I know.
Dang.
So
well, good to know. You'll learn something new every day. But anyway, mental health warriors, please note, we love you so much.
Absolutely.
And we are working behind the scenes to do more than just have talks on this platform, but we're actually actively working in these streets to try and build a faith-based community to be responsive to all of the trials and tribulations that we know that you guys are going through. And we're doing so because we're operating in the Holy Spirit. And this man and his faith and his intellect is being put to good work in this space. So please know that we need your help. We need your support. We need your prayers.
Absolutely.
And we need you to know that here at the Unplugged podcast, you have a space to talk to us.
That's a fact.
So feel free to engage in the comment section, but even more so, pay attention to what we're doing in this community, because we are looking to engage with you in ways that benefit the entire community as a whole, yourself included. And that's where our heart and our intentionality is, in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen. With that being said, God bless you.
Peace.
See you in episode 3. Peace.
Welcome to Unplugged Podcast, where Jesus is at the center of every conversation. Join us as we explore the teachings of Christ and the impact of mental health, spirituality, and everyday life. Discover how faith in Jesus can help provide hope, healing, and purpose in a world full of challenges. Subscribe now on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms to stay connected to the Unplugged community. Unplug from the world and plug into Jesus.